I sat down with Billie and Finneas and started by asking them how different was it writing for the world of James Bond.
We were just saying how the melodies and like writing of the song was a little different because we really wanted to represent Bond and not just be like, nah, fuck that, we're gonna make it our own thing. We kept our own thing in there, but we wanted to honor Bond and the songs in the past and the, you know what I mean? Like
the Bond songs are the reason why we wanted to do a song. Like it wasn't, we didn't want to do one because we felt like it was a good look. We just were like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
The Bond songs are so cool. The franchise is so cool. The music is so cool. Like we want to be part of that. So I think we felt a little bit more like guests than home field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What would you say that your bits then? You said you wanted to honour Bond, but you also wanted your own style, your own feel in there. Mm-hmm. How would you describe your own style and feel in this song?
I think the minimalism in the beginning, my voice is...
Obviously,
I feel like my voice is pretty much my voice.
But at the same time, it gets a big vocal
it does.
Towards the end, doesn't it?
That's for sure it does. And that's something I'd literally never done. We wanted to give the Bond song something that I hadn't done before. We wanted to like give it something new and like something, not just something I haven't done in a song, but something I've literally never done. And we did. And I feel like it gave it more.
Was I Stupid to Love You to me felt like a very Billie. I don't think the word stupid has made it into a Bond theme yet. So that to me felt like in our vernacular of like lyrics, I was like, oh, this is where like because the melody of that part is very Bond and that lyrical sentiment ties into the film, we feel, but that actual sort of phrasing of it, I was like, I think this is the way that we would actually, it wasn't overly poetic in its sort of like delivery. It's just, was I stupid to love you? Which I think is like a relatable sentiment, but still felt to me like something that we would put in any song of ours.
And those little musical motifs that we recognize from Bond, like the da-da-da-da, that kind of thing, and the twangy guitar at the end. Did you feel you had to put those in, or was there pressure to put those in, or were they your own ideas?
I don't really think there was pressure. I think we wanted to. It was like, you can't do a Bond song without it sounding like a Bond song. And if you listen closely, you can hear the da-da-da-da in the second verse.
It's very subtle, isn't it?
It's very subtle and it's very echoed. We decided to do that.
It was recorded in London, and then there was like a version without it, and then we were like, no, put it back in. That's great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Johnny Marr plays all the guitar, and that was just like especially his line on the chorus, and then his chord at the end to us were like, no-brainer moments. We're like, this is exactly what it needs here.
I spoke to Daniel Kleinman, who does the visuals for the opening credits. So he's obviously heard the song, several thousand times over the last few weeks. Are you thinking about those credits at all when you're making the
song? That was the most exciting, not the most exciting, but it was very exciting. I've been watching the opening scene from Skyfall for like years. Like that was also because when I was younger, when Skyfall came out, I hadn't even seen it, but I just would like watch the intro, and oh my God, it's so good. Oh my God. When we were making the song, we kept watching that one over and over again. They're so good. And I don't know, I don't want to speak for Finneas, but the whole time we were making it, I was just thinking about the beginning and the whole intro.
So when you were listening to the other songs, was it always watching the opening credits, or were you listening just to the audio, or were you watching the videos?
It was a bit of both.
And you felt you had to go back and listen to old tracks?
Well,
we watched all the movies.
We watched all the Daniel Craig movies.
All the Daniel Craig movies within when we were told about it to like when we recorded it.
Again.
Because we just wanted to get it back fresh in our brains and have it like just be our main priority of trying to, I don't know, keep it real.
Yeah, we watched all of them. We listened to all those songs, and then we, I think because these movies are all within the same canon, we wanted to sort of only pull from these sort of scripts, but musically we went back and listened to Shirley and Paul McCartney and everybody that did those.
Listen to everything old.
I think we just wanted to make sure that sort of subject matter wise we were like at the time sort of like tunnel visioned in on the Craig quintilogy or whatever a 5 movie series is called these days.
You've said that you were talking about doing a Bond theme like a couple of years ago, I guess almost joking about it with each other, I guess.
It was just that it's been like a subconscious thing. We've always just like wanted to. Like, I remember literally years ago, Finneas wrote some, it's so weird to think about now because it feels like such a different subject, but it's not, which is that like Finneas would write something and I remember Mom being like, oh my God, that sounds like Bond, and we'd all be so excited about it and like, that'd be so cool. I don't know, it's funny to think back to that time because it was such a dream we had that we never thought would actually happen.
I remember last year going through my voice memos, and we title all our voice memos when we're writing, and there was a voice memo that I was going through that just said Bond-esque. And I remember being like, Billy. And, again, this was far away from even really having meetings with people to tell them all how much we wanted to do a Bond film, but we always wanted to write a theme.
What do you think that means then, Bond-esque? What is that sound?
I think it's harder to describe emotionally than it is to describe in a kind of, musical terms. I think it's a cadence. I think it's it's voicings of chords. It's the instrumentation that lies on top of those. It's the melodies that, lie on top of that. I think, there's a real through line with all the great, Bond songs, and they don't all sound the same for sure, and they shouldn't, but they have the same twist on sort of the scale. I feel like it's almost its own scale in a certain way. There's like Middle Eastern scale, and there's it's like there's a Bond scale that you'd touch on these notes on a piano, and I think that's always. It's always like, as a musician, you hit him accidentally and you're like, oh, Bond song.
And those big notes at the end. I mean, you listen to the end of Goldfinger or Tom Jones or whatever, they end on a huge note. So you said that you hadn't done that kind of thing before. Tell me about that day when you went in to record the vocal and you knew you were going to be doing something different.
The demo that we had before we even worked with Hans and Steven and Johnny, or Barbara even, was a lot longer, and there was this one part that isn't in there now, that it wasn't like different lyrics or anything, it was the same lyrics, but there was a belt in it, and that got cut, and so but when we thought of that one, we didn't even like try to think of it. We were in like Texas because we wrote the song in Texas and recorded all of it in like 3 days. There was just this one night we were in the green room and I was recording the chorus and I just did a belt. I was like, I don't think I could hit that note if I don't belt it. And Finneas was like, so do it. So I did it. And then that was I think that was like the moment we were like, oh, I can actually do this. And then when that was cut, then we had a new part happen and I just was.
Kind of everything else was pretty done at this point. The strings were recorded.
The belt was the last thing we did. And it was
because we had at that point we had the instrumentation under it and we knew how dynamic it gets.
I couldn't be singing soft under that part.
The whole kind of like philosophy behind minimalism is that when you do something, it is momentous because there isn't something else surrounding it. And I think in certain ways, our entire approach to our entire catalog leads to like a moment like this where you go like, because we don't fucking scream all over all our songs, when there's a moment where Billy really goes for a note, it stands out and it has this impact that it might not otherwise have if we were just, making songs that were all on 10.
Tell me about working with Barbara. What did she say to you?
We had like a little meeting and we just talked about Bond and we just praised her because we love it. And she gave us a couple little details on the movie and that was really helpful for us for writing purposes because it always helps to have a storyline. And then she sent us the first scene script-wise, and it was crazy. So then that was like, boom, we wrote the song afterwards.
It's a character's point of view. It's not you telling your story or you telling your story. It's you're getting into the head of someone else.
Honestly, that's the way we've written for a really long time. I was saying earlier, like has always been the easiest way for us to write. We've always written in characters. And like a ton of our songs are like not at all from our perspectives. They're like, we've written from the point of view of people we know, point of view of people we don't, just like a character that we made up or whatever. And that was what was really cool about this was that we could do that again. And this was even a kind of more interesting way of doing it because it was somebody else's idea. You know what I mean? It was like somebody else's story that they wrote.
So that Bond song. Billie Eilish is the youngest singer to record a theme song for the Bond franchise at just 18 years old. In the UK, the song has already been certified platinum and is now the most streamed Bond theme ever. Alongside composing royalty Hans Zimmer and her regular collaborator, brother Finneas O'Connell, Billie Eilish will now become part of the Bond legacy. I asked associate producer Greg Wilson why Billie was the right choice for bringing No Time to Die to life.
Getting Billie was a big coup for us. I mean, she's so incredibly talented, and it's staggering how she's achieved so much at such a young age. I think she really understood really the kind of the tone of what they're trying to achieve with this film, and she's a storyteller, adding those really essential, crucial elements to the film.